Hi everyone. For my Pecha Kucha talk, I'll be summarizing Ziter et al.'s study from 2019, which looked at the interactions between canopy cover, impervious surfaces, and urban heat. In addition, I'll also cover how ecology-based city design can help reduce summer temperatures in urban environments. The main topic discussed throughout the paper is something that has actually come up in some of our other talks, and it's called the urban heat island effect. In essence, this term refers to the fact that due to natural vegetation being replaced with impervious surfaces, urban environments have become significantly hotter than their surrounding areas. As you can see in this image, areas with high rates of urbanization correlate with significant increases of daytime temperatures compared to the rural areas around them. If you take a look at the bottom left inset, I've added an arrow approximately where Toronto is. You can see that the GTA, among other cities, is clearly experiencing these increases. So, why is this an issue? Well, due to the urban heat island effect, large cities are more prone to experiencing severe heat waves, and overall energy usage goes up. This results in increased demands on the power grid and rising costs of energy. Furthermore, human health is significantly impacted, particularly by higher nighttime temperatures. Finally, with future climates expected to be hotter, this will become even more of an issue as time goes on. Despite being known as the urban heat island effect, what we observe is actually more of an archipelago, with temperature differences within city locations often being as large as those along urban-rural divides. Taking another look at the image from before, you can see that rather than one large concentrated area, temperature gradients are often a patchwork, with more detail being visible on magnified maps that allows to see the effects of such things as urban parks. In order to study this phenomenon, Ziter et al. Chose to use the town of Madison, Wisconsin as their study site. This city is representative of many mid-sized cities throughout the United States and Canada, and thus the results could reasonably be extrapolated in order to apply to more or less urbanized areas. To perform the measurements, researchers needed to be able to access areas where motorized vehicles may have a hard time reaching, while still needing to be faster than walking. What they devised was a system where all the measurement equipment was self-contained in a bicycle-mounted unit, which they were easily able to transfer between different individuals who were involved in the study. As we've discussed and seen from our own personal experiences, sometimes jury-rigging, making things work, and coming up with unconventional solutions such as these is necessary for fieldwork and data collection. The sensors themselves measured canopy cover and temperature, along with several other factors that had the potential to affect the results of the study and would need to be accounted for. This way they could rule out the observed temperatures being the results of things such as lake effects or altitude. Of course, without a control, experimental data doesn't tell us much of a story, so measurements from fixed sensors throughout the city were used as reference points. Living in the 21st century, we have access to amazing technology and a wide array of resources, one of which is satellite imagery, and this was actually used in this study as well. The area of impervious surfaces such as concrete and asphalt for each location was calculated at different scales, as can be seen on the left. These measurements were then combined with the rest of the data. Like every good researcher, Ziter et al. Had some expected results and hypotheses they were testing, with the main ones being that increased canopy cover resulted in decreased temperatures, and increased area of impervious surfaces leads to increased temperatures. However, this had already been done by other experiments, so the real aim was to determine whether or not these effects were dependent on scale, and to what degree. As you can see in the chart, the results from the study show that with increasing amounts of canopy cover, the measured temperature decreases. The effects were also scale dependent. The larger the area, the greater the observed effect. This is in line with the expected results and hypothesis. This chart demonstrates the relationship between impervious cover and temperatures, and the results clearly show that increased amounts of impervious cover resulted in higher temperatures observed for any given area, and that the effect was also scale dependent. However, in contrast to the effects seen with canopy cover, the scale-dependent nature of this effect was far more linear. So, what do the results of this experiment mean in practical terms? Simply put, increasing canopy cover will do more to prevent the urban heat island effect than decreasing impervious surfaces. While also providing more cooling overall, the effects scaled in a much more drastic way. Furthermore, while planting trees in urban environments can be difficult, removing already built structures, roads, and other features made of impervious materials would be highly impractical and costly. Having seen that canopy cover is more closely related with temperatures than impervious surface area, we can see that planting trees is a good approach to take. Based on the results, the greatest effects can be seen when planting is planned in order to create more than 40% canopy cover in a given area, and when done at larger scales. In this photo of Toronto, you can see that while we have very large patches of green areas in our uptown and suburban areas, our downtown area features small and relatively few canopied areas. Increasing the size and prevalence of these would be an effective way to reduce the heat effect. However, there are some caveats to keep in mind. The results I mentioned earlier were found to be true for daytime temperatures. In contrast, nighttime temperatures were more closely related with impervious surface area, but the effects seen were significantly reduced. In addition, while planting trees is a good approach, areas with impervious surfaces often cannot accommodate large amounts of vegetation, preventing the 40% threshold from being reached. This photo of Manhattan, with trees as an afterthought, demonstrates this very well. An unfortunate reality is that the availability of canopy cover and green spaces is closely linked to socioeconomic class, and that there is a large amount of racial inequality in regards to who has access to these spaces. Affluent white neighborhoods are often those with the greatest amount of tree cover, while urban areas of high population density and little green space are usually home to the less wealthy, who unfortunately are the least likely to have access to air conditioning and other resources to battle heat. Thus, they're in the unfortunate situation of having higher urban temperatures while also being unable to effectively deal with them. Finally, to summarize the recommendations, implementing the use of more green roofs, planting more trees, and reducing our use of impervious surfaces are all great tactics that we can use in order to reduce temperatures and the urban heat island effect, creating communities and cities which are more comfortable not only to humans, but to all the biodiversity around us. In addition, these areas will be more resilient against increasing global temperatures and climate change. This slide just references the study article itself, so if you'd like to do more reading, I'd encourage that. And also a huge thanks to the Wikimedia Foundation for hosting an immense library of public domain and Creative Commons resources that I was able to make use of. Thank you for listening, and if you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.